Hi, welcome to my channel. I talk about crafting, neurodiversity, ADHD stuff. I also talk about books. It's normally some combination of the three. I'm really struggling with my current project, which is really minor. I'm making a water bottle carrier. So here's my water bottle, and I've got this much of it. So it's all half double crochet, and then I switched to granny stitch, and the white is going to show through in theory. So that's how far I've got, and it's taken me 2.5 weeks. And the thing is, like, this is an example of making something that I do actually need. I actually do need a water bottle carrier. It's definitely t-shirt weather here. I've got a permanent layer of dog hair to kind of like add extra heat and weight in this warm weather. I want to be able to carry my water bottle with me, and it's massive. So having something to just go across me when I don't have to take a bag on the dog walk or whatever would be really nice. I have this really lovely wool, which is Glacé by Rowan, cotton wool, and it's it's crocheting up nicely. So everything should be right for this, but I have also been just super overstimulated recently and really struggling with any of my crafting. I haven't posted anything since I made those little crochet ghosts, and I think I need some company just to kind of push me through doing this. I think it is partly I just don't like the feel of cotton on my hands right now, but also it's the only fiber I can knit and crochet with without feeling weird. I like crocheting and I want to get over the sensory thing, and I just want to finish a project. Like, that is the big thing for me right now. I've been watching loads of crochet trend videos just because that's what my algorithm's serving up to me at the minute, and I love how creative they are and how many different interpretations people have of them. And I've also been watching all those videos of things I'm loving about crochet at the minute and things I'm like loathing about it. And I thought maybe I'd do a combination of the two. I'm going to sit and work on this and try and at least get this bit done, but it would be quite nice to get the strap done as well. And I thought while I worked on it, lost my crochet hook. I thought while I'm working on it, I might talk through some of the things that I'm loving and loathing about crochet at the minute, mentioning a lot of trends and things that I've seen in 2024. Most of it's super subjective, some of it's not. So let's see if we get that far down the list, because I've put some of the more potentially controversial topics at the bottom. We're starting out quite light, I think. There'll be a few things in here that you've definitely, if you've watched a single video about crochet on YouTube in 2024, you'll have seen. Some things that maybe you haven't seen or that you haven't kind of thought about in that way as a trend, as it were. A lot of them have been around for years. I just feel like we're seeing more of them now. So I watched all the trending videos, especially by TL Yarn. Ava P as well did one, Cactus Lady did one. I will link some of them in the description. Definitely recommend you check them out. But I also, looked on Pinterest trends, looked on Instagram trends, thought about things that I'm seeing more and more in my algorithm and my feed, but also deliberately looked at some creators who I wouldn't naturally click on their content because I kind of wanted to see what other trends are kind of coming up in areas that I don't look to. And it was really interesting, especially to see the different takes on it. I've ended up watching loads of amigurumi creators. By the way, finished a round the other night that took me 20 minutes and I just did it now, so that's something. Yeah, I've been watching quite a few amigurumi creators, and it's really interesting to see what the kind of hot topics are in their area and stuff. And I spend a lot of time looking on Reddit, so some of it's going to be informed by that. I've just thought of another one I don't like, so I'm going to write it on my list. Right, so starting off in a kind of slightly gentler place, I guess. One of the things that I'm completely loving, both personally as in I just love this as an aesthetic and as generally will always be drawn to this, but also loving how many more patterns I'm seeing featuring it, is fruit motifs. I feel like it's part of the kind of alternative granny square trend we're seeing, is like all the kind of granny squares with the different slices of fruit in them. You can obviously see it in the coasters and stuff, but I also feel like I'm seeing bigger projects with fruit as a bit of a theme. In the summer, you always get all the lemon stuff. Obviously, there's been all the strawberries, like the strawberry cow and the kind of cherries as well. I'm seeing so many different cherry tops and motifs, but also, like, I think for me, the big one that I'm really loving is the watermelon pattern, which I'm just seeing everywhere. I mean, I almost made this water bottle holder. Like, the color combinations of fruit, people using the strawberries and the cherries against pink a lot is amazing. But also, yeah, the kind of the citrus colors together. I love anything that manages to combine red and green without it being Christmassy. But also, I think the reason we're partly seeing a lot of the watermelon stuff in particular is obviously because of the Palestine connection. And my understanding of it is that when the state of Israel was created, Palestinians were they weren't allowed to show their flag. I am not a historian, like definitely fact check every single thing I'm saying. But yeah, they weren't allowed to show their flags, but they were allowed to show watermelons, which are obviously the same colors as the Palestinian flag. So the watermelon became a symbol of the state of Palestine, and I'm seeing so much of it just in my general day-to-day life at the minute. You know, like there was a park jog organized near me to support Palestinian refugees, and it had like the hills of our city but done as a watermelon. And a lot of in the recent election, a lot of the flyers that got handed out, if the candidate supported Gaza, as in like felt the war should end, felt we should call for a ceasefire, they would have a slice of watermelon showing, love it so much, long may it continue. I mean, part of me lives in fear that people are just going to start making like amigurumi bananas that look like penises, just because I feel like there's always someone out there who makes it a bit weird. But I mean, maybe that person's me. But yeah, overall, very happy with the fruit stuff. Would definitely love to see more stuff being done with the kind of the berries, like the grapes and blueberries and stuff. I'm not a fan of pineapple, but I love these pineapple kind of like cup cozies that we're seeing, and the different, oh my gosh, the bags as well, like the shopping bags done like fruit. I think this has been on the Ravelry most visited page for about a month and a half now. It's amazing. So that's my first one, and I've done 2.5 rounds. So in my loathe column, I've got AI, and specifically, I mean, there's lots I don't like about AI. I find it, when it comes to crochet, I find it very uncanny valley. I don't really like looking at it. Like aesthetically, something inside me just like lurches when I see AI stuff. It's really unpleasant. But the specific thing that I'm really loathing at the minute is I feel, well, like I've noticed that a lot of the time the AI aesthetic, while people are quite keen to call it out as like this is not real, and obviously there's all those issues around fake AI crochet patterns and stuff, I do feel like it's kind of being held up as an aesthetic standard that crochet creators should be aiming for. What I mean by that is it's so, that kind of glossy, slightly blurry, very kind of like digital look, I feel like we're seeing more and more people trying to kind of create that, which is, you know, fine. Everyone's got their own different aesthetics. But I'm seeing it in a lot of pattern photos as well. Like people will get an AI version of the pattern they've made as like the cover image or something. And it feels a little bit like they're saying that just the object they've made maybe isn't good enough or isn't aesthetic enough. And for a cover, like the star image, AI is better. There's a lot of people making like the tulips and stuff, and it's, some of the conversation is around how can we make this look as realistic as possible, but actually it just looks as AI as possible to me. The kind of blurring of the stitches, the uniformness, the colors as well. I feel like we're seeing the color palette change, and those like hyper saturated colors in those specific combinations coming through. And also it's just being used as a compliment. People are saying things like, and I know that this is meant with good intention, but they're saying things like, oh, it's so amazing, it actually looks like AI, or I thought it was AI. And it's like, I don't think that's a good thing. Like, if something looks like AI, not just because maybe it looks fake, but also because the AI aesthetic is not appealing to me. And maybe that's just, I'm not an amigurumi maker. I'm not like someone who's, you know, I made the little crochet goats, but I'm not really into making things that are like cutesy. So maybe I'm just the wrong target, but I feel like I'm just seeing a lot of these kind of hyper photoshopped, very kind of glossy, unrealistic images floating around more with crochet. And they're not AI, but they are people who are striving for that aesthetic. And one of the things I love about crochet is how unglossy it is. Like, it can be pretty and beautiful and intricate and talented and amazing, but it's not, I don't think of it as glossy, and I think that that's what AI aesthetic is bringing. This is actually growing really, really quickly. I don't know why this has taken me so long till now, apart from the fact that like every time I actually think about it, my hands are just like, let's measure around the bottle before I go to the next one. Okay, so we're up to the cup because this comes off, but then this comes off as well. So I don't want it to cover this, but I'm thinking maybe to here, which probably another 2 rows, and then I'm gonna work on the strap. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Oh, no, just pulled out a load of stitches and also trapped my cotton in the bowl. Great. The next one I'm absolutely loving, and I've called it Baby Doll, and I think that's partly just because I saw this pattern today from Hobby and just thought, love that so much, I'm gonna try and make it. I always love a kind of puff sleeve, you know, very kind of like Anne of Green Gables style, but I don't like the way that they look quite empty, and I love the kind of the structuredness of these sleeves. But I think it is also part of a wider kind of thing of, I've seen it called like peasant style, milkmaid core, all of that kind of stuff. Basically the whole, yeah, it's like tight across the bust and then the kind of the volume coming out beneath it. And the big kind of puff sleeves that, you know, Anne Shirley would be dying for. And I do look at these projects and think, wow, so much work. But I think it's a lot of the time, I don't think crochet is actually very kind of well suited to wearables, to clothing. Sorry, I don't know why I said wearables. Okay, a lot of the time I feel like crochet isn't really very suited to clothing because the kind of fabric it makes is naturally so stiff. It's great for things like, yeah, water bottle carrier. I think you can make nice vests with it. I think it's good for hats and things. Cardigans maybe, but a lot of the time it feels very kind of like stiff, thick, boxy, and I don't like, it doesn't really have a lot of drape or hang. I think a lot of the time, unless you're working with like a, you know, 1mm hook or something. But I do think that the baby doll dress in particular really benefits from having the extra structure that crochet brings. That's the kind of thing that can look really like empty and deflated, I think. These kind of big sleeves, the kind of the ruching and gathering of the bust, things like that. And I think crochet is just so well set up to give that the volume it needs. I've totally forgotten where I was going with this, but basically just love to see people posting their creations that fall into this category. It's just really like, always give it a little like, always just love it. I think it's such a kind of cool, interesting aesthetic. It's kind of, it does feel a little bit like it's that combination of cottagecore and coquette in a way. Yeah, and I just hope it kind of carries on being a trend. I think I've got one more round of this before I move on to the handle. I cannot believe how well it's worked, me just chatting away and doing this. I mean, God knows what I'm saying. Like, I'll probably come back to edit the video and just be like, oh my God, now I need to, what? Anyway, last round. On the loath, I've got markets, specifically Crochet Markets, and I have definitely hate watched more than my fair share of market prep videos, and I don't hate follow anyone, but I definitely have some creators where if they pop in my feed, I'll like look at it and just like be irritated by it. It feels like we've just got like certain areas of the crochet world have got super capitalistic. I think I'm specifically talking about a kind of North American type of craft market here because I don't see as much of it in real life. But those videos where it's someone saying, oh, I need to prep for this market, and it's just endless making of the same thing over and over again, kind of complaining about it, only talking about what they're creating in terms of what monetary value it has. Oh, I'm making ocelots because they are always popular. Oh, I'm making bees because I have to, because that's how I get my deposit back. All of this. And then that, and then just endless streams of plastic and disposable stuff. And oh, I'm decorating the store with plastic leaves. Oh, I'm unwrapping all this plastic cellophane that I'm going to wrap around these things. And I just feel like it's everything that I don't like. No, it's not everything I don't enjoy about crochet. It's everything that I appreciate crochet not being. It's like this kind of as close as you can get as an individual to mass production, feeling like there's no kind of real emotional connection to anything they're making. Like I make stuff all the time that I don't feel a real emotional connection to, but I'm making it because I'm like, okay, I'm giving this to someone, or I'm donating this, or, and you know, I mean, maybe just the whole concept of selling stuff just doesn't sit completely greatly with me. I think it's the mass production element of it, and it's just the wastefulness of it. Like crochet is, I think, a really good hobby in terms of like it doesn't actually have a massive carbon footprint, which I know is the carbon footprint thing's pretty fake as a personal concern, but I just don't want to add to the amount of landfill out there. And I love this hobby, and I love that it kind of like means I can create beautiful things. But seeing that kind of side of it, where it's just like create as much as possible, earn as much money as possible from it, no thought to how much extra waste they're creating with this. Like, I just need to stop watching these videos, is the thing. But it is that thing where you just type, even when I'm using a non-browsing, if I type crochet or crochet pattern or crochet 2024 into like YouTube or Pinterest or Instagram or something, well, not Instagram because I need to be logged in, but you know, you will just see market prep and crochet market, and it's just, it doesn't feel like crochet. It feels like it should be a separate category of just like market stuff. You know, the actual crochet is so secondary in that, or crochet as I recognize it. And yeah, it just feels very kind of like soulless and empty and depressing to me. I think I might have finished the body of this. No. Okay. I need to do another round. All right. So next one on my love list is, it's kind of, it's grunge and distressed. Okay, so to preface this, I would never make this stuff and I would never wear it. And I wouldn't make it because I think it would get really fiddly to make. And I can imagine just catching things on it while I'm trying to work on it so much. But these kind of like drop stitches, really loose, like slightly grungy, kind of like, I love all the mohair stuff. I feel like the mohair is like, it's a very kind of like 1990s aesthetic to me. It's that combination of Nirvana, but also the kind of like the fun fur element together. And I just love all these creators who are creating these kind of like slouchy, drop stitch, oversized kind of things that look like kind of like they might have been dug out of like a kind of £1 bin at a vintage store. It's very, I just like it. I just like it. I just like looking at it. Like I said, would not make it because I think I would find it quite frustrating, and I think I would not wear it. And I think if I did wear it, I would just end up in disaster of getting it caught and stuff, and it would just look, I don't think it would look a beautiful kind of curated thing on me. I think it would just look a bit messy. But just love that that's happening. Really hope that now I've spoken it into existence, fun fur is not going to come back, because I kind of love fun fur, but also every time I see it, I feel like I'm about to have an asthma attack. Like just the fibers from it and stuff. But yeah, I'm basically very here for that specific nod to grunge and to the grunge era. And yeah, almost done with what I think is going to be the final round now. So let's move on to a loathe. Okay, so my disclaimer at the start of this is that I'm literally making like a lacy pride tapestry, and I'm making a lacy shawl at the minute, and I have attempted lace in the past. Specifically, what I don't love about lace at the minute is partly how much lace I'm seeing. I think it's very much like everyone's doing lace stuff at the minute. It's everywhere I look. And I think so it's partly just being overexposed to it and just being a bit like, if I saw it occasionally, I might think, oh, that's cute. But as I just see it so much, and I'm just like, yeah, okay. So the big thing for me, I think, is that I have just such a kind of visceral reaction to all of this lace, in terms of like, it feels like I can feel it scratching against me. I get like hand cramps just thinking about the amount of effort that goes into it. And it looks really, really fussy to me. Like, it looks talented. And, you know, I think definitely I find it really interesting the way people are using it and stuff. But to me, it just looks so fussy and so kind of like, what else can you wear this with? You know, like, I don't mind a panel of lace, like I love that, and like these trousers, for example, I think are really fun. But yeah, just overall, it looks to me just really fussy, really uncomfortable. So much effort and work for something that I don't like, that I just really don't enjoy looking at. Like, I can completely respect the craft, but I'm very ready for us all to move on from lace. Like, we can move towards the whole, like, you know, in the sewing community, there's such a thing with, oh, almost started a new row when I shouldn't. there's such a thing with like reclaiming vintage tablecloths, like embroidered tablecloths. I'm like, yes, love that. Is there a similar thing we can do with lace where it's not the entire thing of lace, it's like lace trim or something? I don't know. Right, let's see what I need to do the handle of this. Yeah, so I think that's good. I like the way the white is showing. And I'm going to do the strap like this, so half double crochet, and I think I want it to be fairly long. So what I might do is just start on this side and just keep going and going until I think it's the right way, and then just join it with a slip stitch on the other side. Originally I was thinking, should I try doing both sides and having them joined together in a kind of fold over thing that's like, I mean, I do really like the idea of having it like a bow kind of top. Like, I'm not including this in the list of trends and things that I'm loving at the minute, but I do love how many of things like this you're seeing where it's like the vest tied on the shoulder and things. Let's see how I go. I'm going to start doing the handle and see how far down my list of love and loathes I get. I've also only got this much wool left, so that might make the decision for me. All right, so another one that I'm loving at the minute, which I've seen around a little bit prior to this year, but I think it really, really kind of like picked up. Cords. Love it so much. I mean, and once again, not something like that I would necessarily wear myself, because I do not trust crochet bottoms, to be honest. I don't trust them to be completely comfortable, and I definitely don't trust them to be see-through, but I'm kind of coming around to it. I can imagine eating my words in a few months. Like, I just need a few more months of seeing all these amazing coordinating sets to be like, you know what, yeah, I'm doing it. I love that there's like so many different styles out there. I particularly love when it's kind of the shorts with a more patterned top, but still referencing the shorts. Yeah, and I just love that it's in so many different styles. The only version I'm not open to with this is lace, because I've seen so many like lacy shorts with the top, and I'm just like, that is, everyone can see your pants. Like, that is not practical. What is happening here? But anything that's like a block print, yeah. And I feel like it's just such a kind of like, it's so open for fun, you know. Like, I look at it and I'm just like, yeah, that is like a very fun side of crochet. But I also think it's a trend that can carry way past summer. Like, all the examples I'm showing are from, you know, summer trends. But I think that, like, at the minute I'm making myself a kind of twin set thing of, I made the little woolen vest with it's pink with like blocks on it, and I'm making myself an oversized cardigan to go with it. And I would love if that is a bit of a thing in the winter, you know, where it's maybe you don't want to be head to toe wool in the winter. I mean, I don't know why you'd want to be head to toe wool in the summer, to be honest. And for, you know, when I say wool, I mean any kind of like crochet fiber. But I think that the combination, like, I love a twin set. And I would love to see like an oversized, like more patterns with like the oversized jumper, and then the kind of cropped vest or cropped top over like a white shirt or something with it. I think that could be so cool. I really want to get back to my own project for this, but it involves, I'm doing it in acrylic, and I just cannot work with acrylic in this heat. Like, it's actually stressing me out so much. This strap is growing not as fast as the rest of it, by the way, just to give you a little project update. I think I'm going to have enough left to finish it, and now that I've said it, I'm really stuck on the idea of having the tie shoulder thing, because then I can adjust it if this starts to stretch. But I don't, I'm going to be playing yarn chicken for the entirety of this project. But I mean, to have already done this much, I already feel better. And, you know, if I need to do the strap in a contrasting color, I think that I can do that. Be fine. Anyway, off topic. So, done a love. What's next on the old loathe list? Okay, I read this and I was like, really? And I've now remembered why I don't like it. So, hear me out. Squares. So I love squares, love a grid. I have made and worn so many square things in my life. You know, made the granny square vest. And I do love the trend we're seeing at the minute, where so many things that you wouldn't naturally expect to be made with granny squares are being made. Once again, would not wear them myself, but love that they're there and enjoy looking at them, definitely. So why am I sick of squares? Well, I'm ready for us to do new things with different shapes. Like, and I get the whole square thing, it's easy to do a square, but like rectangles, I would actually love to see a lot more stuff being done with rectangles, both as a kind of like individual motifs, but also like as a repeat pattern and in tapestry and stuff. I do quite like all the hexagon stuff that we're seeing, and I'm hopeful that there are some amazing hexagon things. And there's a lot of circle patterns coming up at the minute, and I love circles. It's that whole Yayoi Kusama thing of the endless dots and everything. And I'm really hopeful it means that we're going to see more kind of pattern creators get experimental with circles. But yeah, I am seeing bits and pieces of it, but I'm just I want squares to just go back to being one of the shape rather than the default shape, you know? And I would love to see more triangle stuff. Diamonds would be amazing. I am seeing some very cool color pooling stuff going on, which I think just looks stunning. But yeah, I'm just a bit sick of squares in general. Okay, so next one that I'm really loving is the 1970s. I love this, and like a lot of things on this list, not something I'm looking to make myself. Like, I don't personally love brown and orange and yellow and stuff, but I'm loving how many patterns we're seeing about it. And all these kind of like the retro daisy pattern I think is great, and how many kind of like of the sort of 70s classics we're seeing being either just reimagined or not even reimagined. Just like, this stuff was really cool. Like, we've got the 70s like the fringe coats and the little crocheted vests and things, and it's just all great. And I love Michelle Yasik here on YouTube, and how committed she is to that kind of like, I think she does more the 80s, but to me, I think coming from a UK background, this is very 70s. I guess it's the kind of direct opposite to Markets, in terms of, while Markets feel like it's that glossy, hyper capitalistic, disposable side of crochet, I do feel like the 70s, it feels like we're really acknowledging like when crochet became so popular in the kind of current day. You know, like, it's not the crochet's roots. Obviously, crochet's been around a lot longer than that, but it feels like it's a real nod to, like, yeah, you know, that horrible phrase that people say, like, this is not your grandma's crochet, or this is not your grandma's knits. And it's like, okay, first of all, my grandma was crocheting the most amazing, slightly scandalous kind of like crochet bikinis and stuff back in the 70s. So everyone, like, just calm down on that one. Like, but also, it feels like we're actually honoring how amazing a lot of those patterns and a lot of those color combinations were. You know, it's not like, oh yeah, we're like having to reinvent crochet to make it cool. It's like, we're kind of honoring that. This got super deep. I did not expect to get so deep with this, but I really feel this very strongly. 70s, just would not wear it. Love that it's here. The flares, so good. Okay, what have I got next? Okay, so penises and butts, and to a certain extent boobs as well, although I don't see as many of them. Basically, all of the amigurumi penises, the amigurumi with massive asses on them, the breast stress balls, all of this stuff. And the thing is, like, I love a bit of kind of crass humor. Like, I'm here for a fart joke, and I'm like, I like a lot of the kind of like the slapstick stuff, and I like anything that's a bit childish and silly. Like, I do love that kind of humor. And I've been thinking about, why don't I like this? And it comes down to two things, I think. So firstly, okay, so I'm not really interested in disembodied body parts. And I know it's silly, and it's like, but it's, even if that penis has got cute eyes, or even if that like breast has got like a glittery areola, I'm not here for it. Like, it makes me feel really uneasy. And it's similar to how some people I know have described seeing blood, where it just makes them feel like queasy. And I think that's how I feel when I see this. Yeah, disembodied body parts, just random. It's not a fun feeling for me. It's not like I'm looking at it and being like, oh my gosh, so rude. But I am looking at it, and just something inside me lurches and just feels a bit uneasy about it. So there's that. And then also, when it's like, I know that bodies aren't naturally sexual. You know, I hate that thing like of a woman breastfeeding is seen as somehow provocative or sexual or something. And on the one hand, I am very happily standing on the sidelines cheering on people to share their bodies, free the nipple, whatever you need to do. So there is that. But when you've got penises and boobs and vaginas, and particularly arses on little soft toys, entering the realm of cutesy, it feels a bit weird to me. You know, and I know that these two things do not connect very well for me, because on the one hand, I'm like, we should not overly sexualize bodies. They're just bodies, you know. It's what we as society read onto them. Like, I think it's that thing of seeing body parts in a realm that in my head is kind of very much like for children, and seeing something crocheted like that kind of has, you know, either like a very kind of like slightly like anatomically correct penis, or a massive arse on something that looks like a little kind of cute furry, like these amigurumi. I'm not showing the creators' names because I don't want it to seem like I'm calling anyone out or anything, but the front of this to me looks like something for a child, and then it's like something untoward hidden within that, you know, or it feels like it's been sexualized. And the thing is, and I have been thinking about this a lot, I love the mushroom lady. I love mushroom lady. I love the mushrooms, like with the kind of the full figure, and I think that they look great and lovely. Would not make one myself, would not necessarily want one in my house, but I just like it, you know, it's just cool. And that feels like it's in the area of art where it's like, yeah, female bodies are like to be celebrated and that fuller figure and everything, but then when it comes to, it's just like a little cow with a massive ass, and I'm just like, why do these two things have to be combined? Why can't it just be a cow? Like, it's not like we're like ass shaming cows. Like, cows could just, they could just have a back that goes into their back legs and still be cute. This has got so long, I'm gonna have to massively edit this down, but I have done a bit of the strap and I've got this much wool. All right, back to something I'm loving. Ruffles. Love Ruffles so much. Hansa's Ruffles. She did this like amazing ruffle like dress recently. There's also a couple of other creators who I follow who've just done, I mean, look at this. Look at these amazing ruffles. I love it. It's similar to the kind of volume in terms like the kind of, you know, the baby doll thing sort of thing. In terms of, I think that this is the kind of thing that crochet is really, really, really well suited for. That kind of structure is amazing. Love the aesthetic of it. Yeah, just every time I see something like this come up, I like it. And I'm seeing it more and more as well. So I'm really hopeful. Like, I love the little kind of like slight ruffle that we're seeing. I'm an elder millennial, lads. Like, I love and respect and adore and honor a peplum. And it's how I feel comfortable. Like, I will always prefer to have loose fabric around my waist, and a peplum is just fantastic. And I love that we're seeing so many of these kind of tops are kind of doing the whole like slightly floaty peplum thing, but are also kind of like quite cool, quite sexy. Like, it's just such a good combination. And I would love to see people take this in both directions, you know, like I would love to see more ruffled sleeves, but also, you know, either like really bunched together so it's like a massive sleeve, or just like, you know, little kind of like floating on the shoulders kind of thing, like a ballet type thing. Love it. I cannot imagine making a ruffled thing just because I think I would get like, I mean, maybe I can make a ruffle thing. Can you imagine how much wool and material must go into this, and how far down the kind of like the design process you need to be able to see to come to where you need to be, if that makes sense? I mean, we definitely need to be following a pattern for it. The kind of person who can look at that and work out the placement of all the ruffles and work out how they're going to build and how they're going to hold their shape and how they're going to kind of fit around a body, I'm like in awe of that as a skill set as well. Like, it looks like it could be quite random, but I actually don't think it would be. I actually think you probably need to put some real thought into how all of that sits together. All right, this is how much I've got done during this video. Not quite where it needs to be yet, is it? But I mean, considering like how long it took me to get to there, like, this has genuinely been really good for me. And yeah, I'm gonna spend a lot more time watching all these videos and looking at all these trends and kind of come back with some intentions for myself for when I finish off this strap. See you in a bit. Hello again. I've made loads of progress on the water bottle. It looks like a jock strap. I'm going to tie it like this. Ran out of the Rowan Glacé, so switched to some dark red Drops Paris I had, which I think like works nicely with it. It's a nice contrast. What I thought I'd do is finish weaving in the ends because I need something to kind of get me through this bit, and just chat a little bit about my final thoughts on what I'm loving and loathing. So firstly, I've edited the stuff that I did before, and firstly, like, how low is my energy at the start of this video? Like, I look like I'm on death's door, and I swear I'm not. I had just had a pretty quiet day and hadn't really chatted to anyone much. So thank you if you stuck with that very low energy intro. Did not realize how many opinions I had. I think that the love loathe section of the video is going to be about half an hour, which is already the longest video I've ever made for YouTube. And it was an hour's worth of footage. Like, my phone crashed 3 times trying to kind of transfer it to my drive so I could actually edit it. I actually cut out multiple sections. Not because they weren't good, but because it was just getting so long, and I actually want to put this video out this weekend if possible. So yeah, it was like there was a whole section on neon and how people are kind of using all the kind of fun like cow print, peace sign motifs and stuff. That was a love, obviously. I cut most of the squares stuff. I cannot believe how long I went on about that. Like, that was probably the longest part of the video. I got into the nature of grammar, I got into the history of crochet, and then ultimately it's just actually like a pretty small peeve of mine. But if you watch the full thing, it sounded like a cross between I was desperately trying to find something to say, which I wasn't, and also that this is the greatest injustice of my life. The fact that there's a lot of squares in crochet. Really nice to be able to edit my rants. That got cut. I also cut a load of stuff on fast fashion, partly because I felt like it was kind of reiterating a lot of the complaints that I have about markets and stuff. I did a whole thing on the Taylor Swift dress, kind of partly talking about how much I love all the different variations of it. Like, there was a lot of extra content that didn't make the cut. I might do one of these videos again in the future because it was such a good way for me to finish a project, and also apparently I have loads to say, but I don't have it in me at the minute to edit that. Like, my next few videos I think are gonna have to be quite short. Thank you for sticking with me. I really appreciated it, because it is a bit of a weird thing, not really having many people in my life who I regularly chat to about crochet. Like, my sister crochets, and I go to a couple of knitting circles and crochet circles, but I don't know many people who are as like deep into crochet as I am. Really happy with the water bottle holder. It was becoming such a kind of like poison chalice kind of thing of a project, just because I've been working on it for so long, and it's just been starting to feel really like, can I finish anything? The Drops Paris, for some reason I insisted on using the same crochet hook for that I did for this, despite the fact this is like the Rowan glacé cotton is noticeably thinner. So I basically just massively fucked up my wrist with that. I don't know why I kept using the same crochet hook. Everything's in a bit of chaos from the move, but yeah, not my finest moment. I basically did the entire extra strap while editing this video. Yeah, and I have my finished water bottle carrier. I think I just did the final end. Here it is. Yeah, so that's that. By having the tie, if this cotton does stretch, which it probably will, I can always just shorten it, make the bow like a bit longer, I guess. But yeah, really happy with how that's turned out. Thank you for keeping me company during it. Might make some more videos like this, but for now, yeah, just if you want, like, subscribe, just do whatever you want. Bye.